Well, another week, another episode, and another week of sitting right next to the magnificent Cooper Hannon.
Oh, thanks, Grant. Yes, another week indeed, and a wild one.
Hey, I heard you were a wild one.
Okay, Flo Rida, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, don't start throwing your shoes now, Grant.
No shoe throwing for me today, Coop. I'm going to stick to throwing the news right at you.
Okay, all right. Well, first, Deebo Samuel headed to the nation's capital. How do you feel about that trade, Grant?
You know, after the year he had, I'm going to give him a doom.
Well, you know who's going to be getting a boom? Maybe the late Pete Rose. You hear it last week, President Trump tweeted out that he plans to pardon Rose, hoping to get him into the Hall of Fame.
You know, I don't know if you guys checked your calendars recently, but we are in the month of March, and you know what that means.
Madness. Pure madness.
Yes, Coop, we will touch on that in just a second. In the meantime, let's run it back.
A wild roller coaster of a week for KU sports, wouldn't you say?
I would totally agree. You know, we had a few wins here and a few losses there, but you know what? KU baseball has definitely been a bright spot.
You know, it's that spring weather, Grant. When the sun is out, the bats are hot.
Well said, Coop. This time of the year really is something special. You know, basketball is winding down, swim is wrapping up, and just like you said, baseball and track have gotten into full swing.
Yeah, and guess what, Grant? We will actually be covering all of those sports.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, who's getting us started?
How about let's start with Bianca with women's basketball. Get the party started, Bianca.
Thanks, Grant and Cooper. Just yesterday, Kansas played their last game of the season in a hard-fought battle against Oklahoma State. The Jayhawks came up just 6 points short with the final score 57-51. It was Kansas senior night as we honored Denai Papadopoulou and Jordan Webster. Pops was a starter on today's lineup for the first time, and she tied her career highs with 8 points and 7 rebounds. She was also the second leading scorer of the game and had a career high of 2 blocks. Finishing around the rim and hitting tough shots, she really made the most of her senior Sunday. While leading scorer Samael Nichols had 16 points and was the only KU player to reach double figures in scoring. She had a great first half, making shots both on the perimeter and in the paint. The Kansas scoring drought continued into the first 3 minutes of the second quarter before Nichols ended it with a 3-point play to lessen the deficit at 17-10. Her third half performance was a little quiet, but she really turned it on for the fourth. She hit a huge 3 to bring the Jayhawks within 2 points of the Cowgirls. She then followed by a clutch layup to tie the game at 51 apiece with just under 2 minutes to go. The Jayhawks fought hard, but weren't able to score again, falling to the Cowgirls 57-51. Kansas finishes the regular season at 16-13, while Oklahoma State improves to 24-5, heading into the conference tournament. Up next, they will hit the road to Kansas City to play at the 2025 Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship this Wednesday, March 5th, against Texas Tech. Tip-off from the T-Mobile Center is set for 8 p.m., and the game will be broadcast on ESPN+. That's all for me. Now I'll send it over to Ben to hear the latest with the KU men's basketball team.
The Kansas Jayhawks suffer another tough loss here at Allen Fieldhouse, this time falling to the Texas Tech Red Raiders with a score of 78-73. And this marks their 10th loss of the season. With March Madness just around the corner, questions are beginning to grow.
We did a lot of things well, considering that it was that close a game and you get scored 33 points from the arc. And we didn't really make free throws. So we did some things well, but we didn't guard the arc, whatsoever. And of course, that was the difference in the game.
The first half was a struggle, especially on the defensive end. Texas Tech caught fire from beyond the arc, hitting 10 threes before halftime, while Kansas had trouble contesting shots and rotating defensively. That left the Jayhawks trailing by 11 at the break. In the second half, Kansas showed some fight, KJ Adams dominated the inside, finishing with 21 points and 13 rebounds, and Hunter Dickinson added 18 of his own. A three from David Coit gave the Jayhawks a brief lead with just over 8 minutes to go. But down the stretch, shot selection and turnovers proved costly. Kansas shot just 4 of 18 from 3, and Texas Tech capitalized on mistakes. Darian Williams knocked down a clutch three-pointer with 1:27 left, and the Jayhawks just couldn't recover.
Today, we had to do a lot of things right, and we didn't do it right on the defensive end. Colorado, we did it right on both ends for the most part. A couple other, we didn't do it right at Utah. Obviously, it's 60-60, and we don't finish the game there. So, yeah, they're a confidence standpoint in that situation. I'm not going to say that. I do think that we can play better in those 1, 2, 3 possession type games.
I think it's just part of it's playing in the league. It would be foolish of us to try to lament on this loss because in 48 hours we got to go play a top, at least 5 team in the country on the road for their senior night. And so if we're not ready for that, it could be very similar to last year. So we got to definitely try to put this one behind us best we can because we're walking into a very hostile environment with a very good team that'll be very turned up.
Now, with only 3 games left in the season, with one of them tonight being at Houston, the Jayhawks will have to recover somehow before the Big 12 tournament.
From a team has been struggling to a team that has already been exceeding expectations, let's talk about some baseball. With baseball season finally getting back underway, the Kansas Jayhawks have been drawing national media attention for their student section. From accounts like Barstool Sports to the official MLB Instagram and Twitter page, the hype around the dubbed Omahawks is real. On the home opener that was played on Thursday afternoon, the students nearly packed out the student section and helped Kansas baseball achieve their biggest opening day crowd since the year 2000. This didn't go unnoticed by the coaching staff, as they had 3 large pizzas delivered for the students' enjoyment. This only amped up Hogland Ballpark even more and led to the energy peaking in the bottom of the 9th when Dariel Osaria hit a walk-off grand slam to give the Jayhawks their 8th win of the season. When the players finished the celebration and returned to the dugout, they told the crowd to meet them at the corner of the stadium to enjoy the celebration with them. The students graciously listened, and it led to a party on the field, with both students and players enjoying the hard-fought win. It was clear after that night, the players loved having the fans on their side, and it only increased the hype around the team on social media even more. Kansas Athletic Director Travis Goff noticed the hype surrounding the team and promised the first 150 students who attended on Friday free hot dogs. Yet another move to get students to the ballpark to cheer on their team. Well, it worked, and Kansas baseball was able to draw in 2,078 fans, only 500 short of the all-time attendance record for Kansas baseball. From a sign that mirrored the infamous Beware of the Fog sign that is hanging in Allen Fieldhouse, saying Beware of the Hog, paying homage to Hogland Ballpark, to a chant that both students and coaches enjoyed, it's safe to say Hogland Ballpark was the place to be on Friday night. The engagement kept going on Sunday, as 3 fans got official Kansas baseball jerseys after employees of Kansas Athletics did a jersey toss to the student section. At the end of the game, the team came over to the student section and waved their hats in appreciation of the dedication the students showed over the first 3 home games played in Hogland Ballpark. With another 3 home games coming up this Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, if you're free, I would recommend coming and experiencing the madness of the student section at Hogland Ballpark for yourself. Let's hear from Annika about how the KU swim team did in Washington.
Thanks, Trevor. The Kansas swim and dive team just wrapped up the 2025 Big 12 championships. And while they finished 8th overall, that doesn't even begin to tell the story. These athletes brought the heat, shattered personal records, and even snagged some medals along the way. The star of the show this weekend was sophomore diver Xiong Lang. She was on fire during this all-star meet. She made the championship final in women's platform diving, finishing 5th with 235 points. But wait, there's more. She took home gold in the 1-meter dive, silver in the 3-meter dive, and then capped it off with that solid platform performance. Talk about owning the boards. And it wasn't just Lane making waves. Brady Ward crushed the 200 back, snagging the 13th place at a personal best of 1 minute and 57 seconds. Over in the 200 breast, Ryan Johnston and Molly Robinson fought their way into the finals. Johnston clocked a lifetime best of 2 minutes and 13 seconds, shaving time off her prelim run, and Robinson was not far behind. This team didn't just show up, they showed out. Lifetime bests were dropping left and right. Lydia Lafferty's 100 fly, she clocked in at a 53.24 seconds, the second fastest time in KU history, earning herself an NCAA B cut. And let's not forget Ward, who hit 2 personal bests in the 200 back. And Tate Haig, she crushed the grueling mile swim in exactly 15 minutes on the dot. That's some serious endurance. Even though this was the last meet for the KU swimmers, the season isn't over for everyone. Xiang Lang and Liz Van Leeuwen aren't done yet. They're headed to the NCAA Zone Diving Championships in Iowa City from March 10th through 12th, looking to punch their ticket to the NCAA Championships back in Federal Way, Washington. This kind of talent shown throughout their season, the future of Jayhawk Swim and Dive is looking bright. Now, let's switch gears from the water onto the land with Grant filling us in on the hottest updates from the KU track and field team.
Thanks, Annika. Now with all this nice weather out, it's making me want to go outside. And you know who agrees with me? The Kansas track team. Well, kinda. The Jayhawks are finishing up their indoor track season, and this past weekend, they spent this beautiful weather in Lubbock, Texas, at Texas Tech's Sports Performance Center. Now, the Jayhawks sent a flock of athletes to represent the Crimson and Blue, consisting of 26 men as well as 26 women. The meet started on Friday the 28th and wrapped up on the 1st of March. The Jayhawks competed in all kinds of events, from the pole vault to the sprints. Our first standout was Mason Minershagen for the women's pole vault. The school record holder went out and broke the Kansas school record not once, but twice. Her first jump was a record-setting 4.51 meters and followed it by, you guessed it, another record-setting jump at 4.56 meters. Minershagen placed second at the Big 12 Championships. Now, sticking with the pole vault, Clayton Sims won gold for the second straight year in a row with a jump of 5.61 meters, passing teammate Bryce Barkdale, who cleared his personal best of 5.51 meters. A third teammate joined the trio, Jake Friedel, who placed sixth with a jump of 5.16 meters. Now, jumps were just where the party was getting started. Heading over to the track, Alexander Jung broke his own heptathlon school record with 5,797 points, giving him a 4th place medal at the Big 12s. Now to break it down for you guys who don't know what a heptathlon is. A heptathlon is a 7-event gauntlet consisting of the 100-meter hurdles, high jump, shot put, the 200-meter, long jump, javelin, and finished by the 800-meter run. And it seems like a lot. Well, it is. No easy feat. And speaking of no easy feats, Tanner Talley, a Kansas distance runner, specifically a mile runner, placed 8th in the mile with a time of 4 minutes and 12 seconds, which for a runner of his standard was slow. Talley recently ran a 3-minute and 58-second mile a few weeks ago. The Jayhawks had themselves a weekend. The men's team racked up 55 points to secure themselves a 6th place finish, while the women's team tallied 38 points to put them in 11th place in the Big 12. The Jayhawks plan on building this momentum into the outdoor track season. The Jayhawks have plenty of firepower to compete for the Big 12 and send their runners to the Nationals. The Jayhawks outdoor season kicks off on the 28th of March, where the Hawks find themselves in a battle of the Bayou. Well, that's all the time I've got for today. For more track and field updates, make sure to stay tuned to Run It Back. We've got a little timeout coming up for you guys, and then our anchors will be back. Welcome back, folks. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you have definitely heard of the Luka trade.
Yeah, I think even Patrick Starr got the news on the latest superstar trade.
For sure, Coop, but how's he been doing in LA?
You know what? That's a great question. Luckily for you and the rest of America, Emmett will be discussing the Luka Laker impact.
Now, of course, we still have our NFL Draft Prospects deep dive. We've got a little bit of sports relocation and another man on the street.
Hey, but first, Emmett, Luka, let's go.
Thanks, guys. Although this trade happened over a month ago, it is still popular and talked about as it is one of the worst trades in NBA history. That's right, I'm talking about the night that Luka Doncic was sent to the Los Angeles Lakers in a blockbuster trade. The Lakers were looking to trade to set up not just their future, but also their chances at a title right now. Here's the deal, though. This trade was huge for the Lakers, and I definitely think they won it. But however, even though they're sitting well in the Western Conference, I don't think they'll make it to the finals for one reason. Western Conference competition. The Western Conference is just straight up loaded this year. The Lakers have talents on both ends of the floor. Don't get me wrong. But I don't see them getting past the Nuggets, and I definitely don't see them getting past the Thunder. As much potential as the Lakers have, they unfortunately are just one of the most loaded conferences in a season I've seen in recent years. There are so many scary teams. However, I don't want to get too far ahead. For now, I'm going to give Luka his flowers. For not playing since Christmas Day, Luka has started to get in a groove and help the Lakers offensively. He helps break down the defense with some crazy passes while also showing off his scoring ability. But my question is Luka consistent and good enough for the Lakers right now? And my thoughts, no. Luka is a superstar and can and will be the future of the Lakers, but for now, he's just too inefficient. This will come with more playtime, but he hasn't been all that yet. He easily can be, and I know what Luka can get back to, as he has shown sparks with a 30-point double-double game and a 29-point game, but I'm just not completely impressed yet. In fact, Luka's first 3 games with the Lakers was his worst 3-game stretch ever. His shooting percentages are relatively low, but I believe he can get back to them as he is just missing shots that he usually makes. Even with this, however, the Lakers have been great recently and are managing to make things work. Since Luka's debut, the Lakers are 7-2, including a revenge game against Dallas, and are climbing up in the Western Conference standings. Luka still has made some good contributions in all of those games, and who knows, if Luka gets his shooting splits to improve, the Lakers could end up being very dangerous. It's only a matter of time before Luka returns back to, well, Luka. For now, I'm going to send it over to Jude and Olivier for some NFL draft coverage.
Thanks, Emmett. We're back, and today we will be looking at the top interior D linemen in the class of 2025. Olivier, who do you got at the top of your board?
I've got Mason Graham out of Michigan as my top guy. At 6'3", 295, he's a really fluid and powerful athlete, but what stands out most to me on tape is how consistent he is with his technique. He's so good at using his hands to control blockers, and he never rushes his moves because he's so confident he can shed them whenever he wants to.
Right. Mason Graham, he was the best lineman, offense or defense, in 2025. He's a 3-technique guy, 2024-25 season, I should have clarified. He's a 3-technique guy. He won the Outland Trophy. He was first-team All-American, first-team All-Big Ten. His quickness and energy, along with his wrestling background, really make him a good prospect to fight through mismatches and be a contributor right away at the NFL level.
Yeah, I think he would start for 32 teams right away. He's a stud.
And he's still developing as a pass rusher, but he's a plug-and-play piece that defensive coordinators are going to love. He's a lock to be a top 15 pick, and I think that once he develops and improves his pass rush moves, he's going to be a monster. So Jags at 5 is the spot that I've kind of got for him. Next up, I think we've got different guys, but I've got Walter Nolan at my number 2 spot, 6'4", 296, 3-technique guy out of Ole Miss. His quick punch and power gives him the ability to immediately disrupt the run game. He can play anywhere from the 0 to the 5 technique, and he's got great agility and lateral quickness for a 300-pounder. Average pass rush skills, and he can play 2 upright when he gets tired, but I don't think that those are things that are going to keep GMs away.
I like Nolan, but he was a little bit further down for me. He's just a project. He's the best athlete of this group, in my opinion, though. It's easy to see why he was the first player in the ESPN 300 coming out of high school. But there are too many plays where he just throws his body into blockers without really any plan of breaking down the block. So to me, he's got a ways to go before he's a contributor.
Then who did you have at your number 2 spot then?
I've got Derek Harmon out of Oregon for my second guy. 6'4", 313. He kind of looks like a young Chris Jones to me, and he's that same style of disruptor. He's got an explosive first step, and he's really good at using leverage on rip moves and when he's sticking a hand in somebody's chest to win his matchups.
Yeah, at my number 3 spot then, I've got Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. 6'4", 331, a nose tackle. Just a guy that you want disrupting the run, disrupting the pass, doing all that. He's an athletic freak, probably the freakiest guy in this class. When he was 360 pounds at Michigan, he ran a sub 540. He's down to 330 now, but that's still incredible. He's a big game player. He performed great in the college football playoff last year, as well in the upset that we saw this season against Ohio State. I think Kenneth Grant's going to be a great player in the NFL. Still needs to develop a little bit, but I think that the Vikings at 24 would be a great place for him to land.
I like Grant too. I question his upside as a pass rusher a little bit, but there's no question he can eat a double team. He can hold his own in the run. He's going to be a great player.
Yeah. That's all we've got today. Let's now pass it over to Adkai to hear about franchise relocations.
Thanks, Jude and Olivier. Those interior D linemen will certainly be relocating after the drafts, and they aren't the only ones on the move. Professional teams relocating has grown into a huge topic in sports that doesn't get talked about enough. Behind me here are just the most significant relocations of the 20th century, most recently being the Coyotes moving up to Utah, Oakland losing both the Raiders and the A's to Vegas, albeit the A's are stopping in Sacramento for a couple seasons, and the most egregious relocation of all, the Seattle Supersonics moving down to OKC. Team relocate for a number of reasons. Lack of success in a city can lead to a team being too expensive, or the owner can simply upend the team for more money in a different market, regardless of the team's success. But where does that leave the fans? Do they become fans of the newly relocated team, or do they start cheering for the next closest option, likely a division rival? Most fans will never like the relocated team. A fan's loyalty is usually closely tied to the city a team is from, while both the fan and the team take on the identity and culture of a city, and thus they're bonded. When a team leaves that city, fans see that as a betrayal. And while they won't hate the players, they'll probably never become a fan of the relocated team in the same way they were before. And maybe it's because I'm an NBA fan, but Seattle is by far the most interesting city in regards to relocation. Seattle fans have stayed loyal to the Supersonics and not just the NBA, even 17 years after their departure. And they are still the front runner for the NBA's next expansion team. If their bid is successful, the Supersonics would return, and the Thunder would remain a franchise as well. The Sonics originally left because of their stadium contract expiring and lack of funding for a new one. And the city even had to pay $75 million for the Supersonics to leave. However, since the team has left, the arena has slowly become more profitable, according to the Seattle Times and the Washington Post. Now that the Sonics' former arena has undergone a $1.15 billion renovation that ended in 2021, the team is lobbying for their Supersonics to return harder than ever. The city claims that upon return, the Sonics would immediately add $313 million in estimated revenue annually for the city, including adding over 3,500 jobs, partnering with local businesses, and funding for $8 million of public art. Even former NBA players are behind the move. Just this last offseason, Seattle hosted a preseason game and sold out their 18,000-seat arena. The stands were full of fans repping their Supersonics merch, and even former All-Stars came in support, including the duo that led the team to the finals in the 90s of Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. Seattle and many other cities are ready for teams to come back to them, although history is not on their side if they're expecting the same franchise. Now, we're headed over to Mass Street, where Ben and Emmett got the public's opinion on the Jayhawks and March Madness.
What's up, everyone? I'm Emmett.
And I'm Ben.
And we're here at the Triangle, just testing out some March Madness trivia.
Let's see what people have to say.
How many national championships does KU have?
12.
Doug, we got 4, but it should be more. We're a blue blood.
That's the easiest one.
47.
5. 6?
Oh, 6, okay.
Bro, it can't be more than...
Technically, it's 6 if we're going...
COVID does not count.
It's 6 if we go... If we go before the national championship era, it's 6. We have 6 titles.
I think it's 4, right? Is it 5? No way, we have 6.
Who has the most March Madness wins of all time?
Kansas.
Duke.
UCLA? Yeah. North Carolina.
North Carolina? Is it Kansas?
Duke. University of New York.
North Carolina.
San Francisco.
Who has the most points ever in a tournament game for Kansas? I think it was before.
Paul Pierce.
No.
Perry Ellis.
Ochai Abachi.
Who's the first team to ever win a national championship? What school?
Yeah. No, you do not know this.
Say it. Colorado Buffaloes. What is the name of the trophy awarded to the NCAA tournament's most outstanding player called?
Ooh, that's actually a good question. It's not the John Williams, that's right. No, it's definitely
Colorado Buffaloes. Correct.
Have a nice day. You too. Have a great day. Thanks. You too.
Make someone's day. Pay it forward.
With KU's devastating loss, I don't think our Jayhawks are going to even sniff the top 25.
Hey, maybe top 100?
I mean, maybe. You know, to ease our sorrows, we've got some high school hoops on the way.
Oh, and also maybe we could toss a little coin to Jack, hoping to join that hoops hierarchy top 10.
Yeah, I've got a crisp 20 calling your name, Jack.
Hey, Jack. Jack.
Wait, what did you just say?
Jack?
Oh, shoot, Coop. Oh, I'm in trouble.
What?
Oh, I totally forgot to do my segment on track.
Like the one that's going on the show today?
Yeah, you know what? I got to do it live.
Are you serious? Are we?
All right, I made it just in time. Now, today is the perfect day to run some track. You know, our Jayhawks, they were just in Lubbock, Texas for the Big 12 Indoor Track and Field Championships. And you know, Olympic sprinters, they are freaks of natures. And you know, college athletes, there's a step below and sometimes no step at all. But how does the average person fare against a collegiate athlete? Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna find out. All right, so the first event of the day is gonna be the 60-meter dash. Now, the KU school record is a 6:46. So today, I'm gonna try and beat that.
Good. Go!
All right, so my final time there was 9 seconds flat. There's a bit off of the school record. Next event, the 200. All right, so the 200 school record here at Kansas is a 20.41. I just ran a time of 27.7. So it's safe to say I am not close. Now, we have done 2 events. There's still 2 left. These ones are the longer distance, which I'm not a fan of. To start her off, the 400. All right, so as you guys just saw, that was the 400. The Kansas school record is a 44.7. Meanwhile, I just ran that same 400 in a minute 23. Now, it doesn't get any easier. Right after this is the mile.
Why are we walking?
Well, we have 100 and a lap left. And I'm running the whole thing. Let's go. Thank you.
Boo.
You want to know your time?
No. Here I am, speaking directly to the media after my mile time. Now, was I close to the school record at Kansas? I was close. I ran a sub 9-minute mile at 8:59. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that was the average person's take on the collegiate level. Now, again, there are reasons why these athletes that run for their respected colleges are where they are. Now, average person like me, I'm not going to be running for the Crimson and Blue anytime soon. But in the meantime, we've got some more segments for you guys.
Wow, Grant, that was certainly something. And welcome back to another week of high school basketball. And last week we had a primetime matchup between Olathe North taking on Mill Valley. And this game was electric. The North Eagles found themselves up 22-5 in the middle of the second quarter, but found that lead being diminished with the Jaguars rallying before halftime, leaving the score 28-25. And then in the second half, fireworks started to go off and an all-out war starts between these two teams. Mill Valley, who was down 22-5, came back and won the game 66-58. Mill Valley is now pretty familiar to game time thrillers, as some weeks ago they took down defending state champ Shawnee Mission Northwest on a last-second shot. And as for this game, though, the star player for Mill Valley was Reese Riddle, who scored 20 points this game.
I mean, you just gotta love the game, man. And we fought the entire time. We came all the way back in the first half, and then we've been in those situations before, and we just got ready to get it done.
Other stars from Mill Valley were Jakai Carter with 14 points and Carter Kipes with 12 points. And as for Olathe North, they had 4 guys score 9 points or more, with Derek Cooper scoring the most with 16, BJ Boyd scoring 12, and Sam Samuel scoring 11, and Jalen Watson scoring 9. And now, that is all I have for today. Now tossing it to Jack for our weekly rankings.
Thanks, Jacob. March is finally here and college basketball season is nearing the very end. It has officially entered crunch time. Today, we will be breaking down the RunitBack crew's top 10 teams in a segment we like to call Hoop Hierarchy. We will be looking at some of the risers and some of the fallers and previewing games that need to be on your TV this week. Auburn is at number 1. The Tigers look like the best team in the whole country. The Tigers took care of business against Kentucky on Saturday and officially can say they are outright SEC champions. The only team you could potentially argue playing better than Auburn is the Duke Blue Devils. Duke rises to spot number 2 and have been dominating ACC opponents all season. Duke went 2-0 this week, taking down Miami by 37 points and Florida State by 35. Houston, we have a problem. Another 2-0 week for the Cougars catapults them into the top 3. In the 2 seasons Houston has been a part of the Big 12, they have won it both years, leaving no doubt that they are worthy of the move. Very impressive basketball being played down in the Lone Star State. Well, hello, Tennessee. The Vols jump into the top 5 after a 2-0 week that ended with this shot to give Tennessee the big SEC win over Alabama on Saturday. That was a crazy half-court shot that secured Auburn its SEC championship. Here's a clip of the team watching that shot go down. The Florida Gators drop all the way from number 2 down to number 5. The Gators ran into a Georgia basketball team that was not playing around. Florida dropped a tough road game, but got right back on track with a 19-point win against Texas A&M. St. John's climbs after another impressive week of big wins. St. John's has officially won the Big East, the team's first outright conference title since 1985. Rick Pitino is the clear favorite for Big East Coach of the Year and might go ahead and win National Coach of the Year while he's at it. Alabama drops a few spots down to number 7, a tough loss for a team that has Final Four aspirations. It's a good thing they still have time to figure it out. And hello, Sparty. Michigan State rises 2 spots after the Spartans pick up 2 top 25 wins against Maryland and Wisconsin this week. It is a 2-horse race between Michigan State and Michigan for the Big Ten championship, and it might come down to the very last game. Texas Tech stays where they are at. The Red Raiders fell at Houston last Monday, but came to Lawrence and edged out a close win in Allen Fieldhouse. Texas Tech shot a ridiculous 43 three-point field goal attempts, knocking down 15 of them. And at the end of the day, it was enough to walk out of Lawrence with Tech's second ever win in Allen Fieldhouse. And rounding out the top 10 is Clemson, the Tigers' first appearance in the RunitBack top 10, but it is well deserved. Clemson is 24-5 and haven't lost a game since February 4th. Now let's take a look at some of the games of the week. The SEC champion Auburn Tigers travel to Texas A&M to take on the Aggies, who are looking to break a 4-game losing streak. A big midweek matchup between Alabama and Florida. Though neither team can win the conference, this game is big for SEC seeding in the tournament in a few weeks. Both of these teams have some ground to make up. Maryland travels to Ann Arbor to take on the number 17 Michigan Wolverines. The Terps will try not to get swept by the state of Michigan, while the Wolverines are looking to stay in the Big Ten race. The best rivalry in college sports. takes place on Saturday when Duke and Cooper Flagg travel to Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina. If we look back, UNC was a top 10 team in the country. Oh, how the tides have changed. And the Big Ten race could potentially come down to a matchup between the two Michigan schools. Can Dusty May win a regular season title his first year with Michigan? Will they share it? Or will Tom Izzo prove why he's one of the greatest coaches of all time and secure yet another championship for the Spartans? That is all of the college basketball news that this crew has to offer. I'll ship it over to Grant and Coop at the desk.
Thanks, Jack. Hopefully Grant... Oh, there you are. Finally. Jeez. All right. You can't believe you did that. You just ran there and then scurried on back? Winded?
Yeah, what gave that away?
Well, I mean, you did say you were trying to break school records.
You know, Coop, all the Chipotle and all-you-can-drink root beer really got to me, man.
Oh, I get you. I had Chipotle over the other day, and I couldn't really walk for a week.
I was just stuffed, dude. What Chipotle are you going to?
Hey, I'm not giving away my secrets.
Good.
Well, speaking of good, and I'm talking real good, I hope everyone has a good rest of your long week. I'm Coop Hannon.
And I'm Grant Shear. And as always, you're watching Run It Back.